Hello, are you ready for a new series? Let's talk about my favorite toxicas, Samantha Ronson and Lindsay Lohan. So they dated from 2007-ish, but 2008 and broke up in 2009, right? Who is Samantha Ronson? Tefi. Tefi, who is Samantha Ronson? I'm going to tell you. So her family's pretty well known. I feel like you would put two and two together because her brother is Mark Ronson, the producer, who's worked with everybody. My favorite work of his is with, obviously, Amy Winehouse. Valerie, well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water. And her sister is Charlotte Ronson, who's a designer. Okay. And Lindsay Lohan is a actress and tabloid queen extraordinaire and now owns clubs in Greece. What's that? She tried to kidnap a child at one time? That was a miscommunication. I feel like her intentions were pure. Anyway, they eventually did, but let's go back to July 2006. July 2006 is a very intense, dark time for Lindsay Lohan. She goes to rehab for an eating disorder. She did an interview where she said she was making herself sick. And this is when she's hanging out with Nicole Richie a lot. And she's very, very, very thin. If you watch her SNL performance around that time, very, very, very thin. Like she puts her arms out and it's like, you can tell when someone maybe isn't in a great place. And we had a bird's eye view because of paparazzi to all the partying she was doing in the groups of people that she was with, right? So instead of stepping in and being worried for her, the tabloids become absolutely obsessed with her. So like I said, she goes to rehab for an eating disorder, even though she tells the press, her team tells the press, it's for exhaustion. But we're not stupid. It's also the first time that Lindsay's partying really gets in the way that we know of publicly of her performance at work. She's working on a film called Georgia Rule, right? Stellar cast. I can't imagine being casted in something like that. Look it up. It's a great movie still, but a studio executive wrote Lindsay Lohan a letter to where she was staying at the Chateau Marmont and in LA, and it got leaked. And it's very embarrassing. So I'm going to show it to you because you have to know what I'm talking about. Hello, not because I want to embarrass somebody. And it was a long time ago, Lindsay. Hello. Dear Lindsay, since the commencement of principal photography of Georgia Rule, since we started filming, basically, you have frequently failed to arrive on time to set. Today, you did not show up for work all day. So pause it and keep reading because I want to use as much time as possible for you and me. So pause it. Okay, and this is also the time, like I said, tabloids are obsessed with her. There are numerous blogs at this time that are updating the public on what Lindsay is doing every 5 minutes. Like literally, Lindsay wakes up. Lindsay gets in her car. Lindsay gets coffee. Lindsay goes to a restaurant. She eats this. Okay, part 2, Samantha Ronson, Lindsay Lohan. So like I said, July 2006, summer 2006, going into 2007, the tabloids are obsessed with her and we are seeing her day-to-day broken down in such a way that it was kind of like looking back, like what a terrible science experiment, like the Truman Show with Jim Carrey. So we were being updated on a regular basis of what this girl was doing because people were fascinated with her fucking up. To be honest, people were hate watching her and she was really struggling. She's going through a lot family-wise. We can get into that later. But not only were we... And I think also at that time we were like, well, she wanted to be famous, so this is what you ask for if you're famous, which is like now we know to be so untrue and so cruel. But she starts, the tabloids also start, no matter what, in front of her name putting some kind of negative adjective. So for example, you're like, Tefi, what the fuck? Addict, Lindsay Lohan. I didn't burp, you did. Troubled child star, Lindsay Lohan. Party girl, Lindsay Lohan. So the audience are like the public aren't really taking her seriously at that point either. So when she gets in trouble for a Georgia Rule, instead of it being like, is everything okay? The public was kind of like, of course, it's Lindsay Lohan. Like, this is what she does. Classic Lindsay. We've never met the girl a day in our life. She was also dating a lot. James Franco, Heath Ledger, Brody Jenner, Chris Pine, Evan Ross, who is married to Ashley Simpson. And they both fought over Wilmer Valderrama too, so that's a little complicated. So I'm saying all this because I'm trying to draw a picture for you where Lindsay's having all of this happen, and Samantha's very much like a private person and a well-respected DJ, you know. Obviously, they run within the same circles because from what I hear, LA is teeny tiny, especially like people in the industry. In 2008, paparazzi start taking a lot of pictures of Lindsay with a new friend. They are clubbing a lot and doing kisses. And also publicly fighting, like getting into little spats in front of the paparazzi. Of course, they deny dating, but like if we use our eyes and our ears and our five senses, it's pretty easy to tell. This is Lindsay's dad, Michael Lohan. He's been on a bunch of reality shows and very much has tried to be like write off his daughter's name. And if you're familiar with Lindsay's music, like daughter to father, so good. But this is him, right? So upon hearing unconfirmed reports that Lindsay Lohan's new friend, Samantha Ronson, has been hanging out so much with Lindsay that she was going to publish a tell-all book, Michael Lohan makes a public statement. Because he's a newfound Christian. He's a born-again Christian. Oh, hello. Welcome to part 3. I'm on vacation, so these series are taking a little longer than expected. There are a bunch of baby goats playing outside my window. Anyway, yes, I'm on vacation. My makeup doesn't match my skin anymore. Yes. Okay, let's start. Where were we? Yes, Michael Lohan. His tattoo says Lindsay, Michael, Aliana, and Dakota. His children that he traumatized. Okay. So upon hearing his daughter is involved with this DJ, Samantha Ronson, Michael Lohan, as his born-again Christian, releases a statement. Let's also remember that Michael Lohan will not be winning Father of the Year or the day or the hour, okay? He was not a role model or model father to Lindsay in any capacity. They had been estranged for many years, and her second time going to rehab, they had recently reconnected, and he went straight to the press to talk about her. So Michael tells the press, this Samantha Ronson person is using my daughter, obviously. People didn't know who Samantha Ronson was until she was seen out with my daughter. She's some LA DJ, and now she's going to write a book. That wasn't true. That was a rumor online. Now she's going to write a book about my daughter. Michael, you tried to write a book about your daughter. This is not in Lindsay's best interest. Lindsay and Samantha Ronson separately respond on their MySpace pages. When you had MySpace, you could post something like a message board. It was kind of like early blogging, you know? So Samantha, actually, let me show you that. While I can't find the posts, I do love this picture of the two of them at a party checking their MySpace pages. I love it. So anyway, Samantha responds is like, it's not my fault that your daughter likes me more than you. Oh, I really hit myself. Lindsay says something along the lines of, no, I think actually verbatim, my father has become a public embarrassment to his friends, his family, his coworkers. Oh my God. And his addiction is fame. She ends it with, I've had enough. Yeah, I've said enough, and I have a therapist, and it's not the cameraman at X17, which is like an entertainment blog. You know what I mean? Like a gossip blog. Then they take their first vacation as a couple, and they go to Cabo. And these photos, iconic. Like, when I tell you, the world could not believe what was happening. But also, like, the tabloids were like, let the rain fall down. Like, literally, thank God this is going to make us so much fucking money. And it did. Also, I'd like to express that photos like these, which is pretty obvious, and the media is still like, Lindsay Lohan and new BFF. It's pathetic. Like, pathetic. And then things really took a turn. With Lindsay and Samantha. Oh my God. Okay, part 4, Lindsay Lohan, Samantha Ronson. Things really took a turn. They started publicly fighting all the time. Like one time they got into this huge blowout fight at the Chateau Marmont, where Lindsay was like always staying at because reportedly and allegedly she was flirting with dudes at the bar, and Samantha did not like. Who would like that? But they were an explosive pair, right? So things get out of hand. They end up checking into separate rooms, and Lindsay Lohan starts tweeting publicly to the world, like, I was right all along. Being cheated on does wonders to you. I'm doing this publicly since you and your friends call People Magazine and Us Weekly, which, by the way, I called US Weekly my whole life. I'm serious. Like 6 months ago, I was like, did you check out US Weekly? And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? My friends were like, what the hell's wrong with you? And I was like, well, I've been calling it a pinch of beer my whole life. Anyway, so she tweets this out publicly and she ends it with, so you win. You broke my heart. Now go away. I loved you. That's Lindsay checking to see if anybody's replied. We all do that shit. Walk out and then come back. You're not gonna follow me? You know, when you're a kid or something's extremely toxic, which it definitely was. Then she keeps going, please leave me alone. Stop staying in the room below me. And says, you've woken me and my mother up. Keep cheating. You win. I don't think you understand. She tweeted this to the world, had not confirmed her extremely queer relationship at this point, and they're fighting all the time. This is like a blowout one, right? And Lindsay goes to bed. Just kidding. She keeps going. Oh, you have no idea. Please ask your sister to stop yelling profanities. Please stop doing drugs. Please go away and go to bed. You work hard. You need your rest. And those around you are obviously negative influences. When I tell you the manipulation on Lindsay's part at that time, can you imagine? She's like positioned herself in a way where she's like, you guys are animals. You know what I mean? So what if I was flirting? Stop doing droga. What is a droga? So after this, they just started arguing on Twitter all the time. Like there was one time where Lindsay accused Samantha of making her leave a party early, and she tweeted, Samantha is playing the innocent card and still talking to TMZ, just like my father. Lindsay, you probably got a little too fucked up. Like, you know? This is part 5, but I was like, oh my God, the service out here is so bad. I look so cloudy in all my videos. It was... I had my face cream on the phone. This is part 5. Part 5, Lindsay and Samantha Ronson. So where'd we leave off? Where she was like, you call TMZ just like my father. But Samantha Ronson responds to this tweet in such a vicious way that I was like, yeah, you guys are definitely fucked up. She goes, one more thing. If you're going to do... How about you do it outside the bathroom? Because some of us actually have to pay. Ends it with, Jack and crack will make for some crazy tweets. Samantha. Samantha. Remember that movie, Bruno? That's such a Samantha thing to say. Back to the story. Then came the iconic fight that I feel we have all seen, and I'm going to show you. But it is so, it feels like an intrusion. It's just a very personal fight that the paparazzi caught. And okay, I'll show you right now.
No, Austin, what's wrong with you?
Stay there.
Can you get her in the house, please? I'm getting the food so I can go inside. It's ridiculous. She's sleeping like it wasn't me.
Hey, Lindsay's everything okay? You've been waiting for Samantha for a long time.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
She waited hours. Hours.
Stay there.
That's Samantha in the car. That's Samantha.
Rick, can you help me out, please?
Where you at?
Lens, I cannot afford this. This isn't mine. Like, baby. Rock, please.
To speed up for what?
I don't really know.
Stop.
Lindsay, don't blame this on me. She was going to be here. Honey, I'm not at all. I'm not talking to you. Dog. Roxy, go.
Roxy, come out. I'm getting it right home. Roxy?
Oh, Samantha's coming. Do we have to continue the video?
Sam, what's going on with you and Lindsay right now?
Shut up, dude.
Stop! Who's that?
No.
I'm your girlfriend. No, who's this other person here?
The lighting in here is just so awful, but I couldn't bring myself to check my ring light. My pride just wouldn't let me. So this is where we are. Part 6, Samantha Ronson, Lindsay Lohan. Let's get into it. Okay, so we left off at the video, right? I think I want to show you the rest of it. Not the rest of it, but so you get more of the idea of what I want to talk about.
Who's that?
No.
I'm your girlfriend. No, who's this other person here? You know her. So why are you yelling at her to stop? Because you went to touch me, and where were you? Okay, this one has to go. Don't talk to my man like that, Samantha. She's on my property. I don't know her. I want her out.
I mean, I get it, but like...
It's that simple. Okay.
Can you go inside to talk? Can you go inside?
Where were you? Okay. Where were you? Oh no, I've been saying all night that you were recording me. Crying. Where were you? Where were you? Where were you? Where were you? That's my sister. You're lying. Yeah, I'm lying. Seriously, please. Go to the car.
I just feel like I know that voice. I've definitely had that voice before, and I've heard my friends have that voice before, and I call it when you're too deep in the mud. It's when you're too deep in a toxic relationship, and you can actually, like, the spirit above you, your own spirit can hear you talking, and it's like, shut the fuck up and go home. But like, you physically can't. Like, it's this like physical tie that you have to this person, and I really think that they cared about each other, but it was like, what they had in common was their obsession with one another and the parting, you know? Lindsay Lohan later told the press, like, two toxic people can't be together, and we started off as friends, and that's how it should have been, or something. That's how I think it was meant to be. There was also that time when Perez Hilton made Blame Samantha shirts. Do you remember that? It's like a bedazzled Blame Samantha. So she loses control of her car in 2007. Lindsay loses control of her car in 2007. She crashes into a tree, right? The police find a drug in her car, and Perez Hilton goes online on his blog and says Samantha planted it. So Perez starts making Blame Samantha shirts, right? Samantha does not like this and sues Perez Hilton, but loses because the court can't prove that Perez had malicious intent, so she's ordered to pay Perez Hilton $85,000 in legal fees. Oh my God, I was about to... Hold on. Okay, welcome to part 7. So, fighting constantly, nonstop, like I said, publicly. There are so many videos of them fighting outside of hotels, outside of clubs. All the news about them looks like this. Lindsay Lohan and Samantha Ronson have another public fight. Lindsay Lohan and Sam Ronson had violent fight. You know what I mean? So I'm going to show you a video that I get angry about with Samantha Ronson and Lindsay Lohan. Just bear with me, okay? Tell me you heard it. Lindsay runs up to Samantha at the DJ booth and says, why are you playing her song? Britney Spears, womanizer. Why are you playing her song? Listen again. Listen again. I love this photo. But so that really pisses me off because reportedly Britney Spears got her hands on a phone and called Lindsay Lohan's manager when her conservatorship started. Called Lindsay's manager for help and they ignored her. That's what really grinds my fucking gears. And then you're going to say, oh, I hit myself in the nose. And then you're going to say, why are you playing her song? Oh, Lindsay. I also hate how when she's like fighting with Samantha, she's like scolding, like very, listen, I'm a Cancer. She's a Cancer. I know it. I know what it is. You're trying to position yourself in a place of power, but you're desperate for approval. So it's like she talks down to the people around her a lot. But Brittany? Anyway, I don't know. Wow. It's pretty obvious that this pair breaks up. April of 2009, they split for good. After a mandatory stay at the Betty Ford clinic, Lindsay Lohan, it's like 90 days, right? And when she gets out, she buys a home directly next door to Samantha. And when asked about it, Lindsay pretended to not know that Samantha lived there. She's like, what? Samantha Ronson lives there? You know, what? Say it isn't so. And Samantha was reportedly disgusted. Like, oh, it's so fucking gross. Whatever. Congratulations, bitch. You made it to part 8. Unless you've been complaining. Then get out! Anyway, let's continue. Allegedly, after a very public brawl, Samantha goes home and... oh my God, the moth the size of my head. I think this was Jurassic Park. Anyway, so... Samantha goes home and changes her locks in April of 2009. Excuse me, I'm a little rattled after that pterodactyl. Lindsay is seen actively and quickly moving out as much stuff as hers as possible. All of her friends say that she's devastated, that it's completely over. Samantha's already moving on. And Lindsay then makes a statement to the press saying, actually, we're just taking a break. We're taking a brief break so she can focus on herself, which lets me know what the breakup was probably about. You know, you need to handle your shit. I can't do this anymore. You're right. I should focus on myself, and I'll see you tomorrow. However, there is an iconic moment in history that I cannot not mention. After the breakup, Samantha Ronson is seen dating. Okay, I think she even dated Erin Foster, like one of the Foster sisters. I gotta give that a Google later, but this Wi-Fi is weak. I don't see me doing that, so if you could just let me know. Henny Hoosers. Lindsay is seen leaving Samantha's property with this bear in tow. The bear says, I love you. Okay. It becomes apparent quite quickly that Lindsay Lohan bought this bear because Samantha Ronson was dating somebody new. And she wanted to look like Samantha invited her over and gave her this bear in hopes of making up. Which is some unhinged queen fucking behavior. And you know what? For you to look at me in my eyes and tell me you haven't done some crazy shit too. Oh my God. Come on. You're telling me that if your ex that you're still in love with is dating somebody new, you don't post a little bikini pic? Well, imagine if you had international press following you around all the time, you'd buy a bear or two too, bitch. Unless you wouldn't, then I wouldn't either, because like, you know, like, don't be crazy. I'm gonna say this, right? So the relationship ends and it's unclear whether they're actually still friends, whatever, but it was a very toxic, tumultuous time. I think for any couple, the attention is definitely detrimental, but a queer relationship at that time, there was no way they were going to survive. There was no way they were going to survive, especially with the obsession that the media had. I have to talk about this later. Ugh. Part 9, Lindsay and Samantha. Okay, so now Lindsay says that her and Samantha were more friends, if anything. And that they never really dated. Where back then, she was very open to say, yeah, I like a girl, so what? You can look it up. She really said that. Yeah, I like a girl, so what? Which was extremely bold, because let me tell you something. I know right now in the year 2021, a lot of us are very boldly peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. But back then, of course, it wasn't like, people like to act like the 80s wasn't so long ago. You know what I'm talking about? People like to act like the 70s and the 60s and the 50s and the 40s and all that shit was such a long time ago. And it wasn't. Martin Luther King and Anne Frank are the same age. Like, I feel like when it comes to time, and this happens with a lot of social issues, of course, but when it comes to time, people forget how much more progressive we are today in such a short amount of time, because she caught a lot of fucking flack for this. But my point is, I'm sorry I brought up Martin Luther King and Anne Frank in the Lindsay Lohan video, please. But I was just trying to make a point about time. Okay. My point is that Lindsay Lohan was openly queer. And it made a lot of people feel more seen. And I know that she was one of the hottest girls at the time. And she's going out with a woman. A talented, cool girl. You know what I mean? And I just feel like to erase this relationship from her history is to erase queer history. Truly. And you know what? Fine. I understand a lot of times, like, my friends will tell me, everybody knew I was gay, but I just wasn't ready to talk about it. And because it was my story to tell. Even though I knew that I wouldn't have my backs turned on me or whatever, it was just like my story to tell and I wasn't ready. So I get that. I get that maybe during this time or afterwards, she doesn't want to talk about it, right? Or she says now it was just because I was living in LA. Whatever the fuck that means. But I just feel like I wish she could have come out and said, yeah, sometimes you fall in love with a girl. Baby, we all know that. We all know that. You know what I mean? Sometimes I fell in love with a person. She doesn't have to, but to erase all of that is to erase history. And to be so bold about it back then, but not today, please, you know? And I feel like, yeah, we all want to forget an ex, but this was bigger than them. I hope that makes sense. This was bigger than them. You made a lot of queer girls feel like they could be the main character too. Does that make sense?